Put your number in my phone. Put your number in my phone. I hope to get some time alone. I wanna get to know you more, baby. Put your number in my phone. If I could get some time alone.
Ariel Pink is a professional name for Ariel Marcus Rosenberg, who's a musician, singer and songwriter from LA, particularly associated with lo-fi and hypnagogic pop. Between 1996 and 2003, he had an initial prolific home production of cassettes. Apparently by the mid-2000s, he had 200 to 300 cassettes of material recorded. He recorded a lot of stuff for quite a long time under the name Ariel Pink's Haunted Graffiti. He started later to get into studio recordings. On at least one occasion, he abandoned it and went to record at home instead because he preferred the sound. He's had spurts of productivity in times of inaction, and is still considered to be an active artist. Sometimes he says controversial things, and he has been pulled apart in the press as a result. He was a strong Trump supporter, and he has been sometimes labelled as misogynistic. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the first studio album released just under the name Ariel Pink rather than Ariel Pink's Haunted Graffiti. And it's my first encounter with him from any of his albums. And it's not that easy to describe. So there are various terms that have been used for it. Hypnagogic pop is this term that is floating around that seems to be applied to him a lot, which apparently is music from the 2000s that's particularly nostalgic for music between the 60s and 80s. And I think there is some justification to calling it that. There's also the label psychedelic has been attached to him, and I think again there's some justification for that. Musically, it's pretty complex and very varied, but the overriding thing that holds it together is that the mastering, which feels like kind of the last part of the process after all the complex stuff has been put together, is somewhat lo-fi, so it sounds like it's coming off a cassette or something like that. It's not got a hiss in it, but it's the tonal range is subdued and it doesn't zing and pop like modern recorded stuff you would expect it to. And I assume that this is a deliberate thing. So a lot of the songs, there's all sorts of, to be able to list all the different kinds of styles and influences in here would be really difficult. There's an 80s feel kind of fairly strongly for quite a few of the tracks. There are hints of Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, definitely, in some tracks. Some of them sound more like synth-heavy electro-pop, especially of the kind of deadpan variety, like Gary Newman or New Order and people like that. But I could also hear elements of Syd Barrett and folk and art rock and just kind of straightforward singer-songwriter as well in here. There's a lot of instrumentalists involved, so there's quite a lot of stuff going on here. And as I said, it's pretty varied. 5 of the 17 tracks on here, it's quite a sizable album. And 5 of those tracks were written by a hospitalised Kim Fowley, who I don't know much about, but who was involved in music in various ways. Anyway, moving on. So I think I would say it kind of goes from straightforward songs to put your number in my phone, to psychedelic imagery and being choppy and changey, like the first track, which is Plastic Raincoats in the Big Parade. You can kind of get an impression of what that might be like from the title, to quite a few Zappa-like songs about every day in the bizarre. So I'm going to pick out particularly White Freckles and Negative Ed that remind me quite strongly of Frank Zappa. The singing is also quite varied. He's got a good range of expression and pitch. So he can sound like a 1980s low-singing David Bowie type character, or somebody from Human League or something like that, or he can sound like a 60s hippie, and all sorts of other things in between. So, excuse me. Overall, I like the variety and the unusualness. I do prefer the more unusual tracks. I think some of the simpler tracks are a bit on the humdrum side. I wish the recording quality was better and clearer. For me, this is the thing that I find has a damper on my enjoyment of things. As an album, I felt like it kind of felt like Brownian motion. It was kind of randomly zigging around in different directions. I'm not sure if there was any kind of meant to be any overriding theme. Definitely wasn't. And I would say if you're a huge fan of Zappa, then this may be something that you really like and really relate to. So I'm slightly cautious, but overall I'd say I liked it, and I would potentially seek it out again to listen to. So that's what I think. As always, I would love to hear what you think. So please do give me your opinions in the comments box. It's nice when we get a conversation going. That's it from me for now.
Why can't I write the words down?